Good morning everyone. Today I will start the multifetal gestation. When more than one fetus simultaneously develop in the uterus, it is called multiple pregnancy. It can be twin, it can be triplet, quadruplet, quintuplet when 5 fetus, sextuplet when the 6 fetus. So presence of more than one fetus in the uterus is called multiple pregnancy. Two types we can see. It is of dizygotic twins, also known as fraternal or binovular. It is most common. It is 80%. It is seen in 80% of the cases and result from fertilization of two ova. Monozygotic twins, also known as identical twins, uniovular, because it is result from fertilization of single ova and seen in the 20% of the cases. So two types, dizygotic and the monozygotic, depending on the fertilization of whether it is from one ova or whether it is fertilized from two ova. So dizygotic and monozygotic twin. How can you differentiate between the zygosity? In the monozygosity, there is a fertilization of one ova with one sperm. In the dizygotic twins, it is fertilization. It develops from fertilization of two ova and two sperms. Monozygotic twins, because develop from same embryo, so they are of same sex. And in dizygotic twins, it is of either same sex or it can be opposite sex both. It is of identical feature in the monozygotic twins definitely, and in dizygotic twins they are only of fraternal resemblance. That means either they are sister brother resemblance. In the monozygotic twins, there may be single or double placenta, while in the dizygotic twins there is always double but sometimes fused placenta. So only double placenta is seen in the dizygotic twins, while in the monozygotic twins, depending on the time of this division, it depends on the time of division. There can be development of single placenta or double placenta. Monozygotic twins is of same genetic feature, while dizygotic twins are of different genetic features. When you do the DNA microprobe, in the monozygotic twins, they are of same features, while in the DNA microprobe, in the dizygotic twins, they are of different. In the monozygotic multiple pregnancy, the situation is more complex depending on the timing of division. I told you the dizygotic twins is always having a double placenta, but in the monozygotic twins, depending on the timing of the division of the ovum, it is of different types. It can be dichorionic diamniotic, it can be monochorionic diamniotic, it can be monochorionic monoamniotic, or conjointings. When the embryo splits at third day, already after the just before the morula stage, then there will be development of two placenta, two chorion and two amnion, and it is seen in the 30% of the cases of this monozygotic pregnancies. When the embryo splits at 4 to 7 days, then there will be already when the chorion is already formed. So there is a development of single placenta only, one chorion only, but two amnions. So there will be formation of diamniotic monochorionic twins. It is seen in the most of the cases, that is 70 to 75% of monozygotic twins are of diamniotic monochorionic, that is monochorionic diamniotic twins. Fine. So in the majority is of monochorionic diamniotic in the monozygotic twins, that is single placenta, one chorion and two amnion. When the embryo splits at around 8 to 12th day, there will be already amnion is also formed. Then thus there is a development of single placenta, one chorion and only one amnion. It is rarest and it is seen only in the 1 to 2% of the monozygotic twins, and it is of monochorionic monoamniotic pregnancy. When embryo splits at 13th day or after 2 weeks, there will be development of conjoined twins, Siamese twin. It's a very rare. When we talk of the incidence in India, the incidence according to Helen rule, twin, in case of twin it is 1:80, in triplet it is 1:80 square, in quadruplet it is 1:80 cube, and in quintuplet, so it is like this only. Frequency of twins highest in the black race, most of the cases seen highest in the Nigeria and least in the Philippines, and in India it is according to Helen rules, lowest seen in the Orientals, and increases with maternal age and the parity. Chance to get twins 2 times if conception less than 1 month after discontinuation of oral contraceptive. So after oral contraceptive, chances is increased for twins. Increase after artificial IVF reproductive technique, artificial reproductive technique. Incidence is constant for monozygotic twins, but for dizygotic twins it can vary with either ethnic group, maternal age, parity, and method of conceptions. With ethnic group up to 5 times higher seen in the Africa and half as high in the part of Asia. It is lesser in younger age while higher in the this advanced stage. Parity, it is increases with parity 2% after 4 pregnancy. Method of conception, if it is from the artificial reproductive technique IVF, it is chances is increased 20% with ovulation induction. So the term zygosity refers to the time of conception, type of conception, and genetic makeup. That means whether it is started or whether it is fertilized from 1 ova or 2 ova. So zygosity is type of conception and genetic makeup. That is, it can be monozygotic type and dizygotic type. Chorionicity denotes the type of placentation in case of monozygotic twin. So in most of the cases, chorionicity rather than zygosity determines the outcome, obstetric outcome. So chorionicity is more important for obstetric outcome. Chorionicity is more important for obstetric outcome. It is the type for monozygotic twins. So how do you determine the zygosity and chorionicity? So how do you determine the zygosity? In case of monozygotic twin, placenta will be in the majority of the cases it is in the 70% of the cases it is monochorionic diamniotic. So most of the cases it will be 1, but in case of dichorionic diamniotic it can be 2 also. But in case of dizygotic twin, placenta will be in all cases it will be 2, but it can be fused. So monozygotic twin, in most cases it will be 1, but in case of dichorionic diamniotic it will be 2, but in case of dizygotic twins it will always be 2, but it can be fused. Communicating vessel in monozygotic twin it will definitely present, while in dizygotic twin it will be absent. Intervening membrane in case of dizygotic twins it will be 2 amnion and 2 chorion, but in case of this monozygotic twin it can be, in case of dichorionic diamniotic it can be 4, that is 2 chorion and 2 amnion, but in most of the cases it can be 3. It is of 1 chorion and 2 amnion, and rarest cases it can be only 2 layer, 1 chorion and 1 amnion. So in most of the cases it will be 3. Sex, monozygotic twins, it will always be identical. Blood group, always be identical. In dizygotic twins it may differ or it may be similar. In case of this blood group, it may always identical in case of monozygotic twin, but in dizygotic twins may differ or may be similar. Genetic feature is same in monozygotic twin, while in dizygotic twin it will be different. Skin grafting is acceptable in case of monozygotic twin. When you do skin grafting from one twin to another, it is acceptable in case of monozygotic twin, while it will be rejected by dizygotic twin because there is a genetic features are not same. And when you do the follow-up, it is usually identical in usually monozygotic twins, while in dizygotic twin it will be not identical. So this is the determination of the zygosity. But for the chorionicity, which is responsible for the obstetric outcome and the perinatal outcome, so how do you determine the chorionicity? It is best way to determine the chorionicity by the ultrasound examination at 10 to 14 weeks of gestation. Before going to detail, you should know some terms also, terminology. Superfecundation, it is the fertilization of 2 different ova in the same menstrual cycle by separate act of coitus within the short period of time is known as superfecundation. That is fertilization of 2 different ova in the same menstrual cycle by separate act of coitus within the short period of time, while superfetation is fertilization of 2 ova in different menstrual cycle. In superfecundation it was same menstrual cycle, here it is different menstrual cycle. The nidation and the development of one fetus over another fetus is theoretically possible until the decidual space is obliterated, which obliterate at around 12 weeks of the pregnancy. Now coming to the diagnosis, how will you diagnose? So you have to take the history. If there is a history of ovulation inducing drug, especially gonadotropin, clomiphene, anything. Family history of twinning in maternal side, you should take the detailed history. In the symptoms, you will find the hyperemesis gravidarum because of the raised beta Hcg level, cardiorespiratory imbalancement, and palpitation and shortness of breath because of the enlarged abdomen, tendency of swelling of legs, varicose vein, hemorrhoids more common, excessive abdominal enlargement and excessive fetal movement you will find. So symptoms will be like this. When you do the examination, you will find the prevalence of anemia is more common than the singleton pregnancy, definitely. Weight gain will be unusually high and it will be not explained by the preeclampsia or obesity. Chances of preeclampsia will be more, which is around 25% more than normal. When you palpate when you go for abdominal examination and you will go for inspection, you will find the enlarged, which is unduly enlarged abdomen, which is usually barrel shaped. On palpation, you will find fundal height more than the periods of the amenorrhea because of the multiple pregnancy, girth more than normal, abdominal girth at the level of the umbilicus, which is 100 cm at term in the single pregnancy, while in case of multiple pregnancy, girth will be more than normal. Palpation of too many fetal parts when you go for different grips, palpation of 2 fetal head or palpation of 3 fetal poles. So this can be suggestive for the multiple pregnancy. If you find the two distinct fetal heart sound with the zone of silence and 10-bit difference, that is suggestive for the multiple pregnancy. Some differential diagnosis for increased fundal heights. It can be you should rule out the full bladder, wrong dates, polyhydramnios, macrosomia, fibroid with pregnancy, ovarian tumor with pregnancy, adnexal mark with pregnancy, ascites with pregnancy, and the molar pregnancy. So you should rule out all these causes of increased fundal height. You should go for investigation. Sonography is the diagnosis of choice, investigation of choice. In the multiple pregnancy, you will find the 2 sac with fetal pulse and the cardiac activity. And after the confirmation of the diagnosis, you can assess for viability of the fetus, whether it is vanishing twin or viability of both fetus. You can assess the chorionicity at around 6 to 9 weeks, whether it is single or double placenta. I will explain the twin peak sign and the T sign later on. Pregnancy dating. You can also assess for any IUGR, fetal growth restriction, at every 3 to 4 weeks interval. Any anomalies, presentation and lie. With Doppler study, you can assess the twin transfusion syndrome. Placental localization you should assess, and amniotic fluid volume. In dichorionic twin, there is a thick septum between the 2 gestational sac, because it is consists of 2 chorion and 2 amnion. So there is a thick septum between the 2 gestational sac. So, which is best identified at the base of the membrane, where this triangular projection is seen. This is known as lambda or twin peak sign. So this indicates the dichorionic twins, while in case of monochorionic diamniotic twin, it is in monochorionic monoamniotic and the monochorionic diamniotic, there is a thin dividing membrane only, because it consists of only 1 chorion and 2 amnion, or in monochorionic monoamniotic it consists of only 2 amnion. So there will be thin membrane between 2 fetuses, and it is seen as a T sign in the USG. So here you can see this is the projection in the dichorionic twin. So it consists of 4 layers, 2 chorion and 2 amnion. This is known as lambda sign or twin peak sign. And in case of monochorionic monoamniotic or monochorionic diamniotic, there will be only thin membrane between 2 fetuses. It is known as T sign. It is seen in the monochorionic monoamniotic twin. So sonographically you can see this is twin peak sign, and here it is T sign. Radiography, it is not done today. Biochemical test, raised but not diagnostic. Excuse me. Biochemical test which is raised but not diagnostic. Maternal serum, chorionic gonadotrophin, alpha fetoprotein, unconjugated estradiol, all will be raised than the normal pregnancy. When you assess for lie and presentation, in 90% of the cases you will find the longitudinal lie, while in rest cases you will find the other lie. In longitudinal lie, in 40% of the cases you will find both baby in the vertex position. In 28% of the cases you will find the first baby in vertex and the second in the breech. In 9% cases you will find the first breech and the second vertex, and the 6% both breech. You may find a combination of lie also. You will find the vertex with transverse, first breech with transverse, or both transverse. So why it is so important? So different type of complications you can see during the antepartum, intrapartum, postpartum period, and even fetal complications you can see. So in mother, you will during antepartum period you will find chances of miscarriage will be more, chances of hyperemesis gravidarum will be more, anemia, preeclampsia, polyhydramnios will be increased in the multiple pregnancy, GDM 2 to 3 times higher than the normal. Antepartum hemorrhage, placenta previa, because of the big placenta, chances of previa will be increased, placental abruption will be increased, particularly after the delivery of first baby, because of the sudden decompression of the uterine wall. So it can cause the placental abruption, cholestasis of pregnancy, malpresentation we have already read, preterm labor. In 50% of the twin, it is seen. In twin pregnancy, most of the cases deliver around 37 weeks of the pregnancy. Triplet deliver around 34 weeks, while the quadruplet delivers around 30 weeks of the pregnancy. Mechanical distress such as palpitation, dyspnea, varicose vein and hemorrhoids are more common. Obstructive uropathy you can see. During intranatal period, you will find chances of PROM on cord prolapse more because of the malpresentation. Because the malpresentation, chances of PROM and cord prolapse is more. Incoordinate uterine contractions you can see. Increase operative interference again because of increase incidence of malpresentation in multiple pregnancy. Placental abruption after the delivery of first baby. Postpartum hemorrhage again because of the one is because of the big uterus, and this causes the increased surface area of the uterine wall. It can be because of the increased surface area of the placenta because of the big placenta, big uterus, big placenta, and because of the increased chance of the placenta previa. So chances, and because of the increased operative interference, chances of postpartum hemorrhage will be more. During cesarean, subinvolution is commoner because increased one because of the big uterus and because of the infection, which is more common because of the increased operative interference and lactation failure you can see. Fetal complications more common because I told you chorionicity is more important for the obstetric outcome. So it is more common in the monochorionic monochorionic twins. So chances of abortion will be more. Low birth weight, IUGR seen in the 90% of the cases. Premature delivery, so preterm delivery is commoner. Fetal anomalies is increased by 2 to 4% compared to single pregnancy in the monozygotic twin. That means monozygotic twins, chances of anomalies will be more. It can be in the form of anencephaly, hydrocephalus, microcephaly, cardiac anomaly, or Down syndrome. So different type of anomalies you can see in the monozygotic twin. Parenting, where the diagnosis of twin pregnancy is missed in the initial USC, but diagnosed as twin in later scan is common in the monozygotic twin. This is known as appearing twin. Dead fetus syndrome. Here, when the death of one twin is associated with poor outcome of co-twin, it is again commonly seen in the monochorionic placenta, and the survival one will be having the risk of cerebral palsy, microcephaly, renal cortical necrosis, and the DIC. So this is known as dead fetus syndrome because of the death of one twin, the poor outcome of co-twin, and the survival baby will having this type of anomalies: cerebral palsy, microcephaly, renal cortical necrosis, and the DIC. So this is known as dead fetus syndrome. Conjoined twin, it is rare, around 1.3 to 1 lakhs of the birth. Perinatal survival depends on the type of the joint. If they are connected, cardiovascular connection leads to high mortality. Different types of conjoined twin, you can see if it is ventrally attached, omphalopagus, when it is attached through abdomen, thoracopagus attached through the thorax, that is chest, cephalopagus attached through the face and the upper part of the body, caudal or ischiopagus when attached through the stem. Lateral attachment, it can be parapagus when attached laterally. Dorsal attachment, it can be craniopagus when attached through the skull. In fact, partial attachment may be there, but brain is usually spared. Pyopagus when attached through the buttock. Here you can see the types of conjoined twin. Thoracopagus is attached with the chest, omphalopagus abdomen, brachypagus is attachment of the cord, that is the spinal cord or this vertebral column, so brachypagus, pyopagus attachment of the buttocks, and ischiopagus ischium. Vanishing twin, death of one fetus and the continuation of pregnancy with the survival one, but death occurs in the first trimester or before 14 weeks of the pregnancy, then the dead fetus vanishes by resorption method. So this is known as vanishing twin. The rate of disappearance is around 40%. Fetus papyraceous or compressus, where the death of fetus occurs after 14 weeks, that is in the second trimester, then the dead fetus is flattened, mummified or compressed between the membrane of the living fetus and the uterine wall. So this will leads to formation of the fetus papyraceous and compressus. It may complicate with the dead fetus syndrome and even the maternal DIC. That death is usually maybe because of cord compression, competition for nourishment, or congenital malformations. So these are the different types of fetal complications we are going through. Discordant growth, here the difference of fetal weight is more than 25%, while the head circumference difference is more than 5%. Abdominal circumference difference is more than 20 mm with abnormal Doppler waveform. Causes may be different. It can be unequal placental mass, lower segment implantation, genetic differences, twin transfusion syndrome, congenital anomalies in one of the baby. Management, it depends on the gestational age. If it is after 26 week, then you should go for the intensive care surveillance, daily NST, and terminate if any abnormal appearance seen. In case before 26 week of the pregnancy, expectant management, you can go terminate if abnormal ultrasonic appearance, but termination of pregnancy is usually done with this selective feticide is usually done with laser machine. So next is twin transfusion syndrome. Here the blood from one twin goes to the other, donor to recipient. So donor become IUGR. There will be oligohydramnios in that sac. The donor become pale and anemic, while the recipient will become overloaded. There will be polyhydramnios in that sac. It become plethoric, even the congestive heart failure you can see, and become IUD. And this is because of vascular anastomosis, which is present only in the monochorionic twin placenta. Here the hemodynamic imbalance is due to unidirectional deep arteriovenous anastomosis. Here the type of anastomosis is central deep arteriovenous anastomosis. So you can see here the donor become anemic, hypotension will be there, oliguria because of the decreased BP, and oligohydramnios because of the decreased output, urine output, circulatory insufficiency, IUGR, renal failure, and the fetal demise. The recipient become polycythemic, hypertension, polyuria because of the overload, polyhydramnios, circulatory overload, heart failure, CHF, hydrops fetalis, and fetal demise. So for diagnosis of the twin transfusion syndrome, there are two criteria. There should be presence of monochorionic diamniotic twin, monochorionic one placenta, diamniotic. There should be diamniotic twin. Second criteria, poly in one twin while oly in the other, poly-oly sequence. Here, so two criteria, monochorionic diamniotic twin with oly-poly sequence. In most of the cases, difference of hemoglobin concentration between two is usually exceeds 5 gram%. Estimated fetal weight discrepancy is usually more than 15 to 20 gram. It's written, it is 15 to 20% or more. Different stages are there for the TTTS. Stage 1, when only there is a difference or discordant amniotic fluid volume, but urine is still visible by USG in the bladder of the donor twin. Stage 2, discordant amniotic fluid volume is present, but urine is not visible in the donor bladder twin. Stage 3, discordant amniotic fluid volume is there, urine is not visible by USG in the donor twin, with abnormal Doppler study of the umbilical artery or ductus venosus or umbilical vein. In stage 4, you will find the situs and frank hydrops in the either twin or preferably in the donor twin. Stage 5, there is a demise of either fetus. So this is the Quintero staging system for the TTTS. Sometime you can see the stuck twin where the almost absence of amniotic fluid in the donor twin causes the attachment of fetal body to the dividing membrane, and this will prevent the fetal movement. So this is known as stuck twin. The smaller twin generally had got better outcome rather than this opposite recipient twin. Plethoric twin runs risk of congestive heart failure and hydrops fetalis. Congenital abnormalities are high, mostly of neural tube defect, holoprosencephaly, 2 to 3 times higher. Perinatal mortality seen in TTS is about 70%. So how do you manage the TTTS? It greatly depends on the gestational age and the stage of the disease. You may require the serial amnioreduction, that is removal of amniotic fluid from the recipient twin by amniocentesis under the ultrasonic guidance. You can do laser ablation of the communicating vessels using fetoscope. You can perform the septostomy, puncturing the septum between the two sacs to create iatrogenic monoamniotic sac, and you can do selective feticide if your pregnancy is less than 20 weeks of the gestation. So this is the twin transfusion syndrome. Another complication you can see in this, all are more common in the monochorionic twins. All complications you are seeing are more common in the monochorionic twins. Here the twin reversed arterial perfusion, incidence 1 in 35,000 of birth. Here one twin has an absent or rudimentary or non-functioning heart, that is there is a no heart in one twin, that is only a mass of body, there is a no heart in that twin, while other twin is normal, having all normal features. So one twin is only this acardic twin, another is the pump twin. TRAP sequence has been associated with adverse outcome. It is seen in the monochorionic diamniotic twins as in the TTTS. Here the anastomosis is mostly arterial to arterial, where in the TTTS it was central deep arteriovenous anastomosis. Here the anastomosis is arterial to arterial. In the majority of the co-twin, the co-twin dies due to high output cardiac failure. Risk of aneuploidy is 9%. The goal of the management is to maximize the outcome of a structurally normal pumping twin. You can perform the expectant management with serial sonographic evaluation and selective feticide using the radiofrequency ablation of cord of the acardious twin. If you have done this, the chance of survival in pumping twin will be 95%. So monochorionic monoamniotic twins, high perinatal morbidity, particularly in monoamniotic twins. That means monoamniotic means they are living in the single sac, so chances of cord entangle will be more, chances of anomalies are more, preterm birth will be more, and twin transfusion syndrome will be more. So in monoamniotic twins, maximum chances of high perinatal mortality and the morbidity. Now how do you manage your multiple pregnancy? You should start your management right from the antepartum period. You should proper guidance, give your patient the proper guidance about the diet, additional 300 calorie per day, increase protein diet, increase the iron by 60 to 100 mg and 1 milligram of folic acid. Ask your patient for taking rest more. Frequent and regular antenatal visits should be advised. Fetal surveillance by USG every 4 weeks. Hospitalization is not routine in normal case, while corticosteroid only if there is a threatened preterm labor. If she land up in the threatened preterm labor, then only you should prescribe the corticosteroid, and you should have proper birth preparedness. So this was the antenatal management. During labor, the place of delivery should be tertiary level hospital. Vaginal delivery is allowed, but at least first twin or both twins should be vertex. That means at least first twin should be vertex presentation, then only you should allow for the vaginal delivery. In the first stage, there's the skilled obstetrician, anesthetist, neonatologist all should be present. There should be availability of ultrasound in the labor ward, so that it helps in the version method. Keep patient to be bed to prevent the early rupture of the membrane. Use of analgesics. Maintain the IV line with the Ringer solution. Keep the blood ready Epidural analgesia is preferred. Strict fetal monitoring should be done. Internal examination should be done as soon as possible after the rupture of membrane to exclude the cord prolapse. So in the second stage, delivery of first baby with liberal episiotomy, you should give the liberal episiotomy because the chances of malpresentation are more. So chances of different manual you may require, or you may require the even instrumental delivery. So you should give the liberal episiotomy. Forceps delivery or any instrumental delivery if required. Not to give uterotonics with the delivery of the first baby because one baby is still inside. So not to give uterotonics, that is syntocinon or metharzine, after the delivery of the first baby. Early clamp the cord. Early clamping. Here it is not the delayed, it is early clamping of the cord at two places and cut in between to prevent the exsanguination of the second baby. At least 8 to 10 centimeter of cord should be left behind to if any intervention is required. Baby is handed over after labeling number 1. For the delivery of the second baby, you should assess the lie, presentation, size and FHS of the second baby by abdominal examination or if required by USG. If your second baby is in the longitudinal lie, vertex, if it is vertex position, then rupture the membrane and you should perform either normal or instrumental delivery depending on the condition. If baby is in the breech presentation, then you should go for this breech extraction. If your baby is in transverse lie, you have to perform some manual, that is external cephalic version. It is done through the abdomen. You have to try to rotate the head of the fetus towards the this lower uterine segment. This is known as external cephalic version. If fails, then you may require to perform the internal podalic version. Insert your hand and try to thus pull the breech of the baby towards the lower uterine segment. So this is known as internal version or internal podalic version. For internal version, it is only indication, that is for internal podalic version only indication is the transverse lie of the transverse lie in the second twin. Third stage, you should perform the AMTLS to prevent the PPH and monitor the patient for 2 hours. What are the indications for cesarean section? It can be any type of obstetric indication like CPD, fetal distress, any cause. So obstetric cause may be there, but some fetal causes are also there. If your first baby is not cephalic, not vertex position, then you have to perform this cesarean section. Twin with complication, you have to perform LSCS, IUGR or conjoined twin. In case of monoamniotic twin, monochorionic twin with TTTS, or if there is a collision of both heads at the brain, preventing the engagement of the either head. So these are the indications of cesarean sections. Thank you.